everyone, welcome back to RTS and welcome to a scrap spin. That's exactly what we're going to do today in this start to finish. Now this is something I talked about in a few videos ago, and I will have the link below as to exactly what scrap spin is, what it entails, what's the details, and the fun you can have with it. No matter how you scrap, what you scrap, and where you scrap, honestly. Yes, okay. So I'm going to in the first few of my start to finish where I do scrap spin, I'll talk a little bit about it, and then as time goes on I'll talk less and less about it. But for a scrap spin, in a nutshell, I have a list of my supplies in my inventory. Yes, you know how I love that word. I think it elevates our supplies to a higher level, and I think we appreciate them just a tad more when we just use the word inventory, because honestly, we have a lot of money in our inventory. Yes, can I get an amen? Okay, so I simply have my supplies in a number, and then of course, as I talked in the video, you can pick whatever number you want. I suggest 3 to 5, don't go over that. And then you just simply play with those items that were selected, and it's not the only items you play with, but it gives you a springboard to play with those. Okay, so I have my supply list here, of course, and I selected 5 numbers, and you can definitely use a random generator. You can use some dice if you don't have over 66 items. I am now up to, I just added a couple. I'm up to 90, because what did I add? I added my arc binder punch, and I'll show that someday. That is one heck of a punch. And then also 2 classes that I have bought in challenges. I wanted to make sure I put that on there. I don't know if I'll get into it for 2019, but it's on the list. And then Sharon, she just gave me a technique idea about shaker cards. I need to put that on my list because that's something I have wanted to try. Never played with them. So thank you, Sharon. So for my 5 items, you can definitely use a random number generator, or you can use a roulette wheel. You can use some dice. However, you can just have someone yell out 5 numbers, and that is what you do. So I wanted to say with that, you know, if you don't have an iPad in front of you, this, that, and the other thing, you know what you can do? You can simply ask Siri. And that's what I did this time because my iPad was in another room. I was too lazy to go get it. So I asked Siri. I said, Siri, pick a number between 1 and 90. And I did it 5 times. And those are the numbers she gave me. And so then, of course, I just went to my list. And I got numbers 17, 65, 69, 43, and 26. And on my list, that means I'm going to be playing with die cuts in my binder, the color white and ivory, which I just talked about that, a 6x6 pad, page map sketch, and enamel dots. Okay, so now what do I do with that? And someone had asked me, how do I start this? Oh, wow. Okay, my iPad must have a magnetic cover because my notebook just stuck to it. Okay, I want to keep this here. Okay, so when I am playing with a scrap spin, what I do is sometimes I'll do this for maybe 7 or 8 layouts in a row. Then I stop it for a few weeks and then pick it back up. It's, you know, I'm always trying something different. But what you can simply do is that you can get out a notebook and you can write down a series of 5 numbers, and you can just write a series of 5 numbers so you don't have to go through this process of picking numbers each time you go to scrap. So what I'm saying is go ahead and pick 5 numbers, and then pick another 5, and then pick a number 5 or 3, whatever your number is, and then just keep them in a notebook so you don't have to do that step every time. I've done that before, okay? And so then usually when I am working on scrap spin, I always start with my photos and usually my paper, because I pretty much know what I want to do, because, you know, sometimes I have stories in mind. So on one of my scrap spin, it says 69 and 6x6 pad. And I wanted to just leave that there, even though I will not be using a 6x6 pad, because I'm going to be using a 12x12 paper pad, because that's what I picked out before I started my scrap spin. And so that is something I wanted to say. Just because something's on the list, you don't have to use it. You can always skip it or just ignore it or pick something else. And then also don't be afraid to play with things that's just items you didn't pick, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. So of course there's my photos. The paper pad that I'm going to play with in this scrap spin is this Boho Vibes by the Paper Studio. Now this was something that came out, I don't know where to put this. I need to put it there, I guess. So this came out, when is this? A couple years ago. Yes, 2016. and I just loved it, and I thought it would be good for some Southwest photos. And when I did a start to finish a few weeks ago, well, probably a month or so ago, about the Old West, I saw this, and when my little girl was in this pink and turquoise, I knew when I saw these that that's what I was going to use. Okay, now this was part of an 8.5 by 11 album of our trip to Arizona for many years ago, and I never finished it, and so I'm converting a lot of my pages to 12 by 12, but this is something I didn't finish, so it's not like it was a completed layout, but I'm glad all my photos are protected, so that's good. So that is the paper pad I'm going to use, and so then what I did was I went ahead and pulled the rest of the items that was selected for me by Siri. And so the next one was, let's see, my die cut binder. Now for me, I have die cuts in several different places. And this is another one of my die cut binders. When I say I have a lot of die cuts, I mean I have a lot of die cuts, okay? So this is just another one I have. It's just die cuts. And I think this is just another one of my Kaiser Craft collection of my die cuts. Yes, this is just a separate binder. I don't know if I've ever showed this before, but this is the one I'm going to play with. I have no idea which one I'm going to play with. Oh, let's see. There's a lot in here, okay? So believe me, I'm not going to be a shortage, but this is something I haven't played with for a couple months, so it was on the list. It just makes you go get a supply that you forget about, or something that, you know, it just gives you direction. And so I haven't pulled this out for some time, so I'm glad. Okay, and so then the next thing was white and ivory, and I'm just putting these to my side here. Actually, that, to be truthful, that's going on the floor. I don't have the space. Okay, and the next thing was using white or ivory. Now I already knew what paper pad I was going to use, so I just went ahead and went with my ivory, and it's in one of my photo boxes. Now, why is white and ivory on my scrap spin? I think I said this in the video. White and ivory is something that I don't use a lot of, but I have a lot of it. Enough that I have to have a box just for white and a box for ivory. Now, this isn't totally full, but, you know, I think this would be absolutely fun, and I probably would have never went to reach for these. So I'm definitely going to play with this. Maybe some twine. Just got some, see, there's some crocheted things. That would be pretty. Yeah, I'm going for the old Western theme. Those. Okay, so that's my white and ivory, and then of course my 6x6 pad that was selected. I'm not paying attention because I'm using this one. Okay, and then my next one was a page map sketch, which that, you know, I was like, oh yes, I'm excited because that's not hard for me. And so then I just picked a 2-page sketch because I'm absolutely doing a 2-page layout. Now, why did I pick this one? And when I pick out sketches, I'm telling you, it takes me less than 30 seconds. I flip through just the first thing that grabs my attention, and I knew that I was going to be playing with this boho vibes, so I wanted something to showcase some paper, you know, some pattern, so that is why I chose that. And then the last thing, enamel dots. Now, this is something, and one of my lovely subscribers had said, she said, I'm surprised you didn't have brads written twice on your supply list because I use it so much. And it's one of those things, if you have something that you use as a finishing touch, for like for me it's brads, or for a lot of us it's enamel dots, or it's word stickers, even if you didn't pick it, you can still use it. And so I just lucked out that enamel dots was on my list. But if I find a brand that I want to use, it doesn't matter if it's on my list or not, I'm gonna use it. Yeah. Okay, so I hope that helped a little bit. If you pick a number, you don't want to play with that one, you're not in the mood, that's okay. No one says you have to, but you could always challenge yourself. And the other thing is, if you use something for a finishing touch and you didn't select it, that doesn't mean you can't play with it, okay? Sometimes, like for me, when I have enamel dots or brads, I'll go to get a pack or supply that I haven't played with for a while, okay? So that's how I do that. Maybe something different in my enamel dots or something different in my brads. And then I wanted to show something else I'm going to play with, and it was something that when I went to go get my sketchbook, I spied it, And it was this tin here that I recently did in a 15-minute mixer of a cleanup. And it's all these word stickers. So even though it wasn't in my scrap spin selection, I'm still playing with it. So again, took less than 4 minutes to pull this stuff together. This is why I love scrap spin, because I would not have picked the ivory, and I would not have went and got that die cut binder. I definitely would have used enamel dots, and I definitely would have probably picked a page map sketch, but these other ones, excited, gives you direction. Okay, so what am I going to do for papers? I'm looking at this right here. I'm probably going to have to go get some cardstock, because even though this says cardstock, I'm just going to do a little bit of a flip through of this boho vibes, if you want to stick around for a little bit, because I will come back with a finished page. You know, that's how we roll around here at RTS. Yes, I cut out the middleman. That's what I do, because I don't speed up my videos, so I kind of have to do it that way. Okay, so how would I pick, since this is boho vibes, and this is Tombstone, Arizona, how am I going to pair those? I'm definitely going for the story, and of course the main attraction of my story is my little girl, and she has on this turquoise and pink, and that's the only reason why I picked this. Of course, it's a Southwest theme, and so I'm going to just pick a couple, but even though this is cardstock, I'm telling you what, I think I have 3 piles here. I'm crowding. This is about all the space I have left. I need a sideboard. Yes, a sideboard or a sidecar. I don't know, but I need something extra in my space. Oh, man, I might have to rethink something. I might have to get rid of something soon. So, as I was saying, I'm going to just flip through this. And how would I decide, looking at my photos, if you want to hang on a little bit more, I'll just keep on talking. Yes, okay. I need some company tonight. Yes, and I don't drink alcohol, so you know how that goes. Okay, so when I'm picking out papers, what I'll do is when I know I'm going to do a 2-page, is that I will pick one photo of my grouping, and I just focus on that when I'm looking at papers. I don't look at the whole category of photos. Does that make sense? So for me, I'm only going to focus on this photo right here, because it's the theme, the mood, the feel, and the colors that my little girl has on. And so of course I know with my sketch, 3 or 4 pieces of paper, that's my going rate, okay? And so I just focus on this one photo when I'm looking at papers, okay? Now, honestly, if you look at this collection, anything I pick in here will absolutely go fine, but I want to go by mood and feel. So I definitely, even though this is pink, I definitely want something in this southwestern feel, because that's exactly why I chose this paper pad, okay? Now, this says cardstock, and I think I had said that, but this isn't heavy enough. This is not heavy enough for a background, unless you only did one photo and a couple embellishments. But you know, I get a little hot and heavy over here, so now this would be cute, definitely cute. And I actually got her a dream catcher when we were in Arizona. I definitely could do about that. So I will just look through here. No, wire, yes. Okay, now I'm not paying attention to this red, because that's just a matte. It will be coming off, okay? So that is a definitely, that's a go. I'm going to go ahead and tear that out. Okay, so if you want to see what papers I'm going to select, just keep hanging on. I love that. I love that distress. That doesn't just make you feel like you're in a southwestern bar or a saloon. Well, I don't know. I don't know if you want to admit that's what you're in, but whatever. I'm just having fun. Okay, now see, that definitely has the colors, but I want something southwestern. I want something that feels like I was in Tombstone. So, you know, when I say mood and feel, I'm trying to visualize me back there, taking those photos, having that time with my little one, and that's very pretty. Could have picked that one too. You know, that would have been very good. Isn't that something? The colors, this is from the same pad. Those 2 turquoise are different. That's what happens sometimes. But that would be nice to have that on one side. If you were conserving paper, that'd have been awesome. Might have to select that one. Again, this is the colors, but I want Southwest. Oh, there we go. There's another one. That might have to be a contender, baby. Okay. And so you see, I do not spend a lot of time in this process. I don't spend a lot of time in any of my process other than when I go to create. That's cute. That's cute. I could get away with that cute factor. It's got teepees, but I wanted a little something more meatier than that. Okay. That's not tickling my fancy. Well, yes, I like that. Of course, why wouldn't I? It's pink and floral. It's got some distressing. Not too much Southwestern, but we're going to keep on moving. I got to find something Southwestern. So what I will do is that I already know this cardstock, it's called cardstock, it's not thick enough. So I'm definitely going to get in a wood grain. So here's what I do. This is what I have. I have my photo, my little girl in this turquoise and pink. I got my mood and feel. I'm going to get my wood grain in, so that's covered of my brown. And so now I have the turquoise, I got the pink. Now I need something theme Southwest. So now I'm going to go another run, and I'm definitely going to find something that is Southwest, Arizona, Tombstone, Doc Holliday. Yes, OK Corral. That's what a boot heel. Yes, that's what I'm thinking. Okay. And since this is, you know, turquoise and pink, and I think we were basically down to what? The dream catchers or those TPs. Now that would be good if you were Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Yes, that would be good. That is a really nice piece of paper there. I really like that. But I have some other photos, you know, no fuss, no muss. I'm not going to stress over that. There's always plenty of stories. Okay, I'm skipping the feathers. I know there was a TP paper. Okay, so that's what I'm going to pick. Okay, will I use it? I don't know. But when I do a process like this, I will pick the papers. See, that's pretty much close to that. Well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to offset that by this. Okay, so as I was saying, when I'm doing a process like this, I will pick out my papers all at once, and then my paper pad gets put away, and then I will use what's in front of me, and I make it work. That's how I do it, because I'm not going to keep sitting here and deciding, do I want this, do I want that? No, make a quick decision, move on. And if that means picking an extra paper in the process, why not? Those are what I'm going to play. So what I will do is I will pick a wood grain, and it'll be a light wood grain, okay? And then maybe some craft for some matting. Or maybe do some ivory. Remember, that was one of my 5 selections. Okay, so I will come back with a finished page, a double finished page. A double finished page? How about a finished double page from a Tombstone, Arizona? And I was just looking up on the internet some keywords for Tombstone, and I'll talk about that when I come back. And it said, the town too tough to die. And so I'm definitely going to put that in there, and also with my little girl and all these wagons. Okay, so I hope that wasn't too much talking. I hope that introduced Scrap Spin, and this is something you absolutely can do on your own every single time you sit down to either make a card or make a layout, a journal page, traveler's notebook page, anything. It just gives you a starting point, okay? Using the supplies you own, you like, and what you want to play with. Absolutely. Okay, so come back, and I will get busy creating. Okay, hang on, or hold on, or giddy up. Okay, I'm back with my finished page, and boy, did I have fun with a capital F. Yes, I did. I had fun because my background was so simple, and I'll talk about that in just a minute, and I absolutely had fun playing with a cluster, and this is a mega cluster. I don't know if I've done a cluster this big for a while, but this is where I get creative. This is where I have fun. This is where I play with what's in front of me. Love that. Okay, so the sketch I used was this page maps. I'll have it linked below, and if you look at the sketch, let me get my little pointer here. If you look at my sketch, this is absolutely a Halloween sketch. I pay no attention to photo size, nor do I pay attention to the theme or anything like that when I'm picking out a sketch. I am looking at the bare bones, and I'm looking at, this is a pattern paper, pattern paper, pattern paper, and that's how I pick sketches really quick. I go to the bare bones of it, and so that is the background. That's the bare bones of my sketch, the bare bones of my layout. And you talk about simple, because I took the pink and turquoise floral here, and then I took the turquoise paper here in the middle, which expands. And if you see here in the middle, I took that right to the very, very left, or very, very right, and the very, very left. So when that's in a page protector, minus the rings, it looks like it's a continuous piece. And then on the right, I continued with the pink TP paper because I wanted to make sure I didn't have this beside this, and that turquoise paper broke it up. Yes, absolutely. Now you could have absolutely used just 2 pieces of paper to do that. Whatever was here, you would have put there. But, you know, I wanted to play with this paper and that boho vibes paper pad. Yes, love that paper pad. And so then all I did was give myself a border with that wood grain paper. And what is that wood grain paper? By the lovely Echo Park. It is a Christmas paper. It's called Red/Wood Grain, okay? And the back of it, I'll show you, is a Christmas red, okay? That's what it is. And so then I just left myself a border the whole way around and took the photo corners. Okay, and I'll talk about that in just a minute on the 2 outside edges, because if you see the turquoise meets in the middle, yes, meets in the pavement right there. Meets in the middle. I took that to the seam. So I only have an outside border on the perimeter of 3 sides of each of these pages. And so of course then where the seam is, I took a border strip that came from another Echo Park paper. And when I have leftover pieces, and if they're in strips, you know what I do? I simply just put them with my border stickers. And I went to my border stickers and I found this has numbers on it. And it's not a sticker, it's just a piece of paper. It was from a cut apart. And again, the same thing here. Now, you'll notice that those 2 border strips, even though they have numbers on them, and even the numbers basically go the same, it was, you know, they're 2 different pieces of pattern paper. And I always say when you're doing a 2-page spread, what you do on the left, you can exactly replicate on the right, make it easy for yourself. But then at the same time, whatever you do on the left, you do not have to do on the right. You do not have to. And I know when we first started scrapbooking, that is basically how we were taught. What you do here, you do there. But we don't have to do that anymore, no, because if you notice, this pink and turquoise paper here is a different size than this pink and turquoise paper here. And I think that breaks up the sketch, and I think it adds a little bit of fun element to your 2-page spread when you do that. Okay, so my photos, I had 7 photos, put 4 here, 3 here, and then I had them already on an 8.5 by 11, some cardstock, some paper, things like that. So I went ahead and used that brown cardstock as mats. And that's all I did. I reused that paper. How fun was that? Now you'll notice that every one of my photos have a brown mat, except my showcase photo, which only has a small photo mat because I ran out of paper. And again, that's what I'm saying. Whatever you do here, you don't have to do there. And so I only had 1 piece of paper left. And it was this small little brown scrap right here. And that's all I used. You know, just adds a different little fun element to your page. And of course, you know, I have my cluster here, a little cluster here, and a cluster here. And so I don't have a visual triangle on this page. This one I kind of have a little bit, but it wasn't intentional. So I always say that when you're doing a 2-page spread, as long as your eye carries forth from the left to the right, you're good. You don't have to worry about a visual triangle per se, but it's always fun to play with them. Yes. Okay. So my background papers were simple. I covered up the seams with 2 border strips, simple as 1, 2, 3. And then of course the photos, I mean, that's all I did was just put them in an arrangement. I didn't even go by the sketch. I just used the bare bones designs as a springboard. And so let's talk about this mega cluster here. Okay, so remember when I did scrap spin, you know, my choices were kind of made for me, but then it also gave me a springboard. And so of course, you know, I got out my ivory box and I had some twine in there, and then I had some enamel dots, and then what else? I'm running out of room here. And then I also, anything that was white or ivory, and because of my papers, I went with ivory. And I had some die cuts, things like that. That's the brown cardstock that I played with. And then, of course, remember I had showed these tags. I would have never, ever went to pull them. And I would not have went and pulled this to play with this page. Wouldn't. But I'll tell you what, it all worked out. Yes, yes, it did. Because I use this manila tag right here, you can only see some of it, as a base for my cluster, and then I just built on top of it and I built behind it. And I'll have some close-up shots at the end of the video if you want to see that. And then of course with my die cut binder, I pulled some elements from that and just had some more fun layering. And then of course I had some of these cut aparts that came from the boho vibes, because remember there was a cut apart sheet in there, and I wanted some more Southwestern theme. Since I had TPs here on the right, I thought, why not? And I'm just going to pull that paper pad. If you want to hang on for a minute, if not, there it is. That's the finished page. Okay, I want to show that cut apart in this boho vibes. Let me see how fast I can find it. And let me see. Of course, you know, when you're looking for something. I shouldn't be fanning this so quick. It's so cold here. Lord, I think my toes have icicles. It's cold, and I'm sitting here in front of the heater. It's cold. Okay. Okay, right here. Oh, see, there's 3 cut aparts. Oh, so there's 3 of each one of these patterns in this paper. Well, you go, Paper Studio. That's fun when you're doing albums, mini albums. So you see this cut apart. Where in the Hannah am I ever going to use a TP? And I thought, I got a TP here on the right. Why not emphasize it on the left? And so I did. I absolutely used one of these cut aparts, and I'll show you where I used those elements, because I used this sheet. Yes, I did, to play and have fun. And this is what I have left of that cut apart sheet, because I cut out that TP and I put it on foam tape. I cut out that flower, cut out the feather, and look what I did on the top of that TP. Okay, because if you look over here, you see the top of the TPs, they just have these little wooden spokes sticking up, you know, because that's how they make a TP. And so I absolutely took this ivory twine that was part of my scrap spin and I weaved a little bit of that twine in between these 4 little spokes, because they were kind of wimpy on their own, and I couldn't put any foam tape behind them. They were too skinny, and it was sitting right here. And this is why I like a challenge like this. I would have never in a million years came up with this on my own. No, but because it was sitting here, and I thought, oh, I could wrap some twine around the TP, and then all of a sudden I thought, oh, I could do a little bit of weaving with that twine, and I put it right here up at those little wooden spokes at the top of the TP. So fun. I just had fun doing that. And then I secured it in the back with some quick dry adhesive, just so that it won't unravel or anything like that. And again, just put that on foam tape. I put this half on foam tape, this on foam tape, and those all came, even though they're not Southwestern, they came from one of my Kaiser Craft die cuts. They were more from a vintage, and that's what I took it. I took it like, you know, Old West. And so then I just, right there is a die cut from there. So just in this cluster alone, from that die cut binder that I haven't even looked at in a few months, I used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 die cuts. Yes, and that's why I like Scrap Spin, because it makes you put some things on your desk and you focus on them. And it's usually things that you haven't thought about or you haven't played with, but you need to. We all know that. And then, of course, down here, and this was, again, another die cut. And I just put the year on here and a couple little pieces here, because this was in November of 2002, long time ago. Okay, now I have a tab here, and I'm going to get to that tab in a minute. And on the right, again, just, oh, wait. Oh. Okay, I'm going to have to do a final count. There are some more tabs, another tab, and then, of course, my title is Tombstone, and my subtitle, The Town Too Tough to Die. And I'm going to be talking about that in an upcoming layout lunch date, so hang on, I'll be talking more about that. And then I did another cluster down here. And let me just pick out something old school. You see these brads right here? Do you know what that is? That is a old school Chatterbox. Do you remember that company? Oh, wow. Love that company. Those are Chatterbox brads. Love them. And then, again, use a manila tag. Again, some more of those cut aparts from the paper pad and another die cut from that die cut binder. So let me do a final count of how many die cuts I used from that die cut binder that I haven't paid attention to for some time. Okay, now how many did I have over here? There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yes, I think that's the final count. 11 die cuts that I probably would have had to go search for, but because of Scrap Spin, it was right in front of me. Love that. Now I want to talk about one more. Oh, wait, no. There was 12, because right here's another one. You see this little turquoise peeking out? That was 12. Yes. slap me sideways. I love when that happens. Oh, yes. Now, I'm not a use it up type of gal, but I love having fun with my supplies. Okay, so what was I talking? See, I got all excited. Again, then you'll see these enamel dots that are ivory. And enamel dots that are ivory and ivory. I would not have picked them. I would have simply picked something that was in this, grouping right here. And so, because this was in my ivory box and my challenge was to use ivory, I reached for those. And, they're just enamel dots, but they're ivory. So that just gives you a springboard again to what to use on your page if you're not quite sure. And let's see, what else did I wanted to say? Okay, let's talk about these tabs for a minute. There's some here, one there. I want to show you a quick little way to do a tab. Oh, and I'll show this cluster real quick, and I'll have a close-up. And so again, I use a manila tag, some more of those die cuts from the cut apart, put some on foam tape, put a brad in there, a couple enamel dots, additional sticker, and I simply only use this because I wanted your eye to be pointed down a little bit. And you'll see that I don't have a visual triangle on this page, and I don't have any journaling on this page. But again, we'll talk about that in layout lunch date coming up soon. So for some of these tabs, when you're playing with little bits and pieces, okay, and this works good when you need a pop of color, but yet you don't have any embellishments laying around, or you don't want to introduce another icon. Like up here, for an example, I needed pink up here, but I didn't want to do a brad. I didn't want to do an enamel dot. I didn't want to do a flower. So what you can do is look around at the pieces and scraps that's laying on your desk. And I used turquoise there in that one spot. But you can use this, the smallest of things, and you can cut a piece off there, and we're just going to do that. Okay? And this is something that, I don't know. I know I got it from another scrapbooker many, many moons ago. And so when you need a pop of color, look what's laying around. And here is how you make the simplest embellishment in the whole wide world. Yes, you just take a scrap, and you make a rectangle. Okay? Let me get another one. Okay, now I will not use those antlers, so I'm going to show you how I'm going to cut apart those. Now right there's one, but that's a little skinny for filming. Let me show you another one. Okay, so you're saying, how are you going to make a tab out of something? You got some pink scrap there, you got some antlers. I'm going to show you, because I'm going to take that pink off. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get out my corner rounder. And you simply take a rectangle piece of any paper you have. Doesn't matter if you have some designs, because you're going to do some tucking. And let me see if I have something that is not, I have everything glued down. Yeah, this glued down. Okay, there we go. Okay. So you see how you made an instant embellishment from a leftover piece of scrap. So really, when you need a pop of color, look around what you already have, and all you need to do is something that you can punch in a circle or cut in a rectangle, and use your corner rounder, which I think they should have prime real estate on your desk, and give it 2 rounded corners, and there you make yourself a tab. I mean, look at that. We'll just keep on going. Where else can I put that? See? That's what I'm saying. You can just make a quick embellishments. And that's what I wanted to say. It was quick, but then also it's effective, because in this case, I needed a pop of pink. Well, I didn't want anything else. Okay, so that is my finished 2-page spread of Tombstone, Arizona. Had fun with it. Had fun playing with my paper pad. Had fun playing with Scrap Spin. And so I'm going to talk about one more thing, if you want to hang on for one more minute, and that is mood and feel. Now, mood and feel is a catchphrase that I use here on this channel, but it is also a learning technique that I used for many years when I was teaching classes. And basically what that is that I was trying to teach people to just stop for a moment and go back to when you took those photos, or when you experienced that event, or how you felt. Okay, and so that means not only, of course, using the photos from that time, but then also to the selection of your supplies. And so the reason I brought this up is because last night my hubby was looking at the spread, and he goes, wow, you almost feel like you're there. And so that is why I wanted to bring that up, because when you use mood and feel, you not only go by colors, which that helps right off the bat when you go by colors. Doesn't have to be matchy-matchy. I'm talking about just colors in general, okay? And then also to the motifs that you pick, the certain designs you pick, the certain shapes you pick. It all helps you feel like your back there when you took those photos. So I will always talk about mood and feel, and I will have some videos listed below if you want some more talk about mood and feel. And I know a lot of my subscribers have enjoyed that because they said now when they go shop and purchase supplies, they have that mood and feel mantra. And then that will help you pick supplies when you're buying, and then also to help you pick supplies when you're scrapbooking and when you're selecting items. So I hope that was just a little bit more about that. So when my husband made that comment, I was like, yes, this is why we do this, because a photo in and of itself is worth 1,000 words. We all know that. But when you start adding in elements that emphasize recording that story, that's when you take it to another whole level. Yes, love it. Okay, so I think that is all I wanted to say, other than one more thing. If you have never tried a scrap spin, a scrap roulette recipe challenge, it's all the same concept. It's just called different things. If you have never tried that in your process, I definitely encourage you, because not only do you get to play with new things, but then you also focus on what you already own, and sometimes we neglect them and then we start to feel a little guilty about that. So you remove that, okay, and you just have fun, and then you just get to reintroduce yourself to what you already own and have fun. For example, I would have never ever took that twine and weaved it on a TP. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, so that is all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed this. I absolutely had fun just playing. And then when my husband made that comment, I was like, yes, sing it, baby. That is why we do this hobby. This is why we do it. So yes, it was just like a fist pump. Absolutely. Okay, so that is all I have for today. Come back to RTS because you never know what we're going to learn. Bye.